So this is it. 8 episodes later, and here we are. Let's talk about season 1 of Ahsoka in general. It's not a summary. I'm not going to review it because I have all the episodes. I have a playlist that reviews every single episode. I just want us to talk about what I thought about this particular season. My thoughts on Star Wars in general, my thoughts on Ahsoka, my thoughts on what could have been done differently or what they did perfectly. Number one, what I think they did perfectly was the visuals. I absolutely love this season. It's beautiful. It's very well composed. It's very well shot. And this is one of those, I know Mandalorian did it, and you could actually see some very beautiful concept arts. I mean visuals, because as you saw, if you remember Mandalorian, at the end of each episode, they will show you the concept art and you'll relate to some scenes, and that was pretty cool. And this one, it felt like they did not hold back in terms of just being creative with what they had to present. Episode 5, 6, and episode 8 for me were my favorite because of just how they played around with scale, how the one thing that I've always had a problem with in the Star Wars universe is that sometimes they don't give you an idea of how big these crafts sometimes are. I know they did that with Rogue One, Andor, and The Last Jedi. I know that they kind of did that whereby you understood just how big some of these crafts are. But in this one, I like the fact that they kind of now gave you the comparison between a person and that craft. Like a proper comparison. You would see Thrawn standing behind that ship, and you see the inside, and you see the troopers within the craft, and then outside the craft Thrawn, and just the relationship between that craft, the planet, and everything around. So you understand how big something feels. If you remember this circular thing that enabled them to warp to a different planet, while in episode 3, 4, and 5, you feel the size and you feel the scope. It's in episode 8 whereby you get a glimpse of one of the engines versus Ahsoka and the other people, and you understand just how big these things are. So that's one thing that I absolutely appreciated about this particular show, and the idea of pushing the edge in terms of just playing around with all the crafts that we understand about the Star Wars in the Star Wars universe. I know that there are some people who know every single craft in the Star Wars universe, but the mix of that ship and that round thing coming together to create this, like, it will make an awesome toy. Creating this round thing with the ship in the middle, I think that was some of the few things that I went like, yeah, I like that. You know, as an artist, you look at that and go like, that's pretty cool. There are also this planet that they go to with the witches, and they have these statues, and there's one with Ryan Stevenson standing, and in the background there's, again, scale and just making everything feel a bit epic. So the visuals were on point. The composition is one of my favorite scenes is with Thrawn. It's actually this particular scene. Just the look of it. You know how you apply color and how you play around with color how you play around with contrast, using color to just guide you as the viewer to understand what's happening in a scene. When I see filmmakers do that, for an ordinary viewer, when you see things like that, they may not make sense. But if you understand filmmaking and you understand how people can actually use that to tell a story, you'll appreciate it. It feels good to see people who know what they're doing their thing. So apart from that now, I love Ray Stevenson. It's sad that whatever happened to him, but his role in this episode was pretty cool. We don't get to see a lot of him. I think there's a bigger plan for him, but unfortunately whatever happened to him. So we don't actually get to see, more of him. I don't know if they're going to recast him or they're going to retire the character and leave us in, just give him, a proper send-off and decide, we're going to rest the character, we're going to focus on this other character. So it was pretty cool. Thrawn as a villain, I'm still not okay with him. I don't understand him. I don't understand where he's coming from. I don't understand what his inspirations are. I just don't feel the threat when it comes to him. He's supposed to be a strategist, but I still, the show didn't do a good job of making us understand. We've never seen Rebels. We've never seen all these other Star Wars properties. So I wish the showrunners would assume that we've never seen them and just try to do something to make us understand why Thrawn is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So we finally get to Ezra, and Ezra, so far, strangely enough, this is an Ahsoka show starring Ahsoka and Sabine. But Ezra, in terms of personality, is one of my favorite characters. He's very likable. He reacts to things. He reacts to environments. He's very active. He feels like a human being. He feels alive. And which now leads me to... before I go into what I did not like, I also like the music, especially in episode 8. Episode 8 with now the title reveal, Ahsoka, and then the music that was playing in the background. I clearly remember really loving that and actually pausing and replaying just to listen to that. It was awesome. I loved it. In terms of being a Star Wars fan, I believe that this has a lot of Star Wars. It feels like a quintessential Star Wars universe. You have the troopers. You have different kind of troopers. You have the zombie troopers. You have the trooper with the gold or whatever. I like the fact that these troopers didn't feel clean. They didn't look clean. I like the fact that they expanded the lore. If I'm not truly I wouldn't call myself a Star Wars aficionado. I don't know a lot about Star Wars, but it's cool to also see that there are witches in Star Wars. There are different kind of they actually use swords. It's good to see that there are also other creatures outside what we're used to, and it just feels like they were able to expand the universe. They got me out of what I think of when I see Star Wars. Chewbacca, all those familiar spacecrafts. I like the fact that they took me to a different planet and showed me something different. That was pretty cool. Now, going into what I did not like, I struggled with Sabine. I think if you watch my reviews, you'll understand that I had a big problem with Sabine because she does not express. And the worst part is when you put Sabine and Ahsoka together, something feels off. It either feels like they were written poorly or they were not in the same room while they were shooting their scenes. Because there are these awkward moments. When they're having a conversation, you feel like there's a gap between one person saying something and the other person saying something. There's a really big gap between the two. But generally, at the end of the day, it feels like they did not have chemistry, the two of them. Here is the strange thing. Ezra had more chemistry with the little time that he had with Ahsoka than Sabine had with Ahsoka throughout the show. Sabine feels better with her helmet on. She feels like a Mandalorian, and I think they should have just given her a helmet. Now, I'm not talking about Sabine, the character who played Sabine. I'm talking about the writing for Sabine. I'm talking about how she was written against the writing of Ahsoka. That for me, I think it did not gel well. There's a stoicness that really doesn't work. It makes everything feel slower. Which reminds me, the reason that episode 1 to 3 felt extremely slow was because of the interaction between the two. I don't know if I hope I'm making sense. The other thing that I struggled with was just the story in general, because this story doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. We started off with Sabine and Ahsoka in one place. We ended up with we started off with Sabine and Ahsoka in one place, and Ezra and Thrawn in a different part, in a different planet, in a different galaxy. Now we ended up with Ahsoka and Sabine remaining in this galaxy that they were going to rescue Thrawn and Ezra moving to the other point where Ahsoka and Sabine were. So basically they exchanged, but we're in the same place, we're in the same situation. We find ourselves again with the two groups separated. It felt like they did not have direction for this particular episode. It felt like they did not know where they were taking the story within this particular with this particular season, because it for me it felt incomplete. It felt like it was, it felt like what they had initially, the full story is supposed to be, like a 15 to 20 episode, because this feels like it's a sweet moment in the middle whereby Throne comes back and now the heroes need to go and collect themselves back so that they can now fight the hero. This feels like that middle part. And what I hate about that is that I always prefer, if it's a season, create a complete season whereby anybody can watch it and get the story and get the full story. You don't have to string people along. And then when you're done, you say, you know what, we left a door open. If a season 2 is going to happen, this is where we might go. Just don't literally tell us that, oh, we'll be having a season 2 before the show even ends. So that for me, I felt like it was a big letdown. It did not feel like a season 1. It felt like, look, we have too many seasons, but we are going to give you this because our budget limits us at this point to this. So we are only able to produce this. So let's produce this, put it out, and then later on we'll continue working on the story. I really don't like that. I just prefer have a complete story, then find a way of saying, yeah, we may continue from here. But even without continuing from here, you are good with this particular story. So apart from that, this is pretty enjoyable for people who love good concept, for people who love beautiful shows, for people who appreciate art, for people who just want to go into a different side of Star Wars. If you're not like a hardcore Star Wars fan and you just want a good sci-fi story that looks really, really good with like super good stuff, the spaceships, and actually you look at it and you go like, the people behind the production had a passion and understood what they were doing, this is the show for you. But if now you're a Star Wars fan and you understand everything about Star Wars and you understand the lore and you've watched the Rebels, you might have your own opinions. I don't know whether they might be good or bad. I'm not in a position to say that because I've never watched Rebels and all the others. But for some people, I feel that they may go like, it didn't meet the expectation. Because there are some, especially with Ahsoka and Sabine, man. Those two, I don't know about the show, but was Sabine in the was Sabine in Rebels and all those animated shows the same way that she is here? Because she just feels off. She doesn't really feel like a person. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Ahsoka season 1. It's pretty. Generally, if I was to give it out of 5, I would give it a 4. You know why? It's not for the story. It's not for the character. It's for the picture. Because I'm an artist, I'm a graphic designer, and I love beautiful compositions. And you actually see the composition here. You see people who understand their craft. I believe that there was a lot of concept art for this. If you ask the people behind the scenes, they feel like there was a meticulous pre-production process for this particular show. So for production value only, I will give this a 4. And trust me, this will look fantastic with those Apple Pro glasses that Apple is coming up with, because you'll be able to, create a super huge screen or any other glasses that you have. If you're just able to project this and make a huge scene, this would look phenomenal. This would look fantastic. And so basically that's it. That's what I thought of Ahsoka season 1. What did you think about it? What did you think about Throne? What did you think about Ezra? Have you seen Rebels? What do you think? Did you think they did justice to that story? Did you think that this was too rushed? Did you feel like the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine was a problem? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe. Loki is coming up. Actually, I've seen episode 1, so I'll be reviewing that. We'll be going through that. Apart from that, Gen V is also out, so I'll also be reviewing that. So that's why I'm kindly asking you to subscribe. And I also have a review, or it's less of a review and it's more of a rant on Castlevania Nocturne, which is here. You can actually just play it right now. It's pretty long, but you can also play it right now if you've seen Castlevania and get to enjoy. So thanks for watching. You are appreciated. See you on the next one.